Welcome. Public hearings are kicking off this week in the impeachment inquiry against President Trump. Meanwhile, House Republicans have submitted a list of 8 witnesses they would like to hear from. Among them, Hunter Biden, as well as the whistleblower who sparked the whole thing. The ranking Republican on the House Intelligence Committee, Devin Nunes, arguing in a letter to Chairman Adam Schiff, President Trump should be afforded an opportunity to confront his accusers, writes Devin Nunes. But Schiff already ruled out an appearance by the whistleblower. Also saying this, the inquiry is not and will not serve as a vehicle to undertake the same sham investigations into the Bidens or 2016 that the president pressed Ukraine to conduct for his personal political benefit. The president, meanwhile, insisting he's already cleared by the White House's rough log of his July call with Ukraine's president.
Read the transcript. It's all about the transcript. They're having people. I never even heard of some of these people. I don't know who they are. And by the way, it's all third-hand knowledge. But regardless of what anyone says, read the transcript.
We will hear from House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy coming up in just a short time from now. But first, how are Senate Republicans preparing for what appears to be an inevitable impeachment trial coming up? Republican Senator Lindsey Graham is the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator, it's good to have you on the program this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You've said on this program not too long ago that Hunter Biden needs to answer questions. What is your reaction to this list that your colleagues in the House have prepared as far as those they would like to hear from?
They could care less about getting to the truth, what really did happen, why was the prosecutor fired. The John Solomon FOIA request is pretty stunning. You can see efforts in the State Department where they were worried about the conflict of interest between Hunter Biden and this company that was being investigated. And when the president of the company, Burmisa, I think is the name of the company, when his house was raided in February, the Bidens kicked in. And we're going to look at that. I consider any impeachment in the House that doesn't allow us to know who the whistleblower is to be invalid, because without the whistleblower complaint, we wouldn't be talking about any of this. And I also see the need for Hunter Biden to be called to adequately defend the president. And if you don't do those two things, it's a complete joke.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the John Solomon reporting. Let's talk about that for a second, because John Solomon reported this. Testimony bombshell. Obama administration tried to partner with Hunter Biden's Ukrainian gas firm, but was blocked over corruption charges and concerns. Basically, he writes that the State Department's main foreign aid agency, USAID, planned to co-sponsor a clean energy project with Burisma Holdings. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I think the big deal is that Hunter Biden's serving on a board of a gas company that's being investigated by the Ukrainian government. In February, they raid the house of the guy who owns the gas company. Then you see a lot of interaction with Joe Biden calling the president of the Ukraine. Then you see meetings between Hunter Biden's business partner and John Kerry, and all of a sudden the case goes away. I think it's important that we find out what really did happen regarding the firing of the prosecutor and what was the conflict of interest that Hunter Biden had. But back to the whistleblower, it's impossible to bring this case forward, in my view, fairly without us knowing who the whistleblower is and having a chance to cross-examine them about any biases that they may have. So if they don't call the whistleblower in the House, this thing is dead on arrival in the Senate.
Well, I mean, speaking of that whistleblower, Fox News is not naming the whistleblower. We are waiting for any confirmation there. But others in the media have named this person as to be a person who worked for Joe Biden, who worked for John Brennan at the CIA, a CIA operative,
Right.
Perhaps one of the people who dropped the breadcrumbs back in 2016 that President Trump colluded with Russia, which was based on the dossier which Hillary Clinton paid for.
Well, if the whistleblower comes from the Brennan world, that would be pretty stunning, I think. If the whistleblower had a connection to a Democratic candidate, that would be pretty stunning. So the only way you can fairly deal with this issue is for us to find out who the whistleblower is. No American can be accused of a crime based on an anonymous allegation. The whistleblower is foundational to what they're doing into the House, and the fact that they don't want to call him tells you everything they know, everything you need to know about how valid this effort is to impeach the president. It is impossible to conduct an impeachment inquiry when the chief complaining witness is unknown to the president not subject to cross-examination.
Well, this is a really important point because for a long time, Adam Schiff said he wanted to speak to the whistleblower. Then we found out that his staff actually did meet with the whistleblower. So now he doesn't want to speak to the whistleblower in any of these hearings any longer.
Well, because what's going to happen, when you find out who the whistleblower is, I'm confident you're going to find out it's somebody from the deep state. You're going to find out that they had interactions with the Schiff, and this thing's going to stink to high heaven. And the only reason we don't know who the whistleblower is, that it hurts their cause. They're not trying to find the truth here. If you really wanted to know the truth about why Joe Biden said what he did about the prosecutor, if you don't fire this guy, we're going to cut off the money. Well, let's find out that was Hunter Biden in the crosshairs of the prosecutor. This is not about Schiff finding the truth. This is about Schiff trying to destroy the Trump presidency. Mueller looked at Trump 2 years, $25 million, 40 FBI agents, and didn't find anything. Now we got it in the hands of Schiff and Nadler. If you think Schiff is looking for the truth, you shouldn't be allowed to drive anywhere in America because that's a ridiculous concept.
Well, you're making a really important point, and I want to make sure that our audience understands the way you're connecting the dots right here, because for almost 3 years, this country was up in arms over the potential of Donald Trump colluding with the Russians. Now, we are waiting on the John Durham now criminal investigation. We're waiting on the IG report to get to the details of exactly what transpired in 2016. But many of these players that we're talking about when it comes to Ukraine are the same players that dropped those breadcrumbs and tried to spread a narrative of President Trump that was absolutely not true. And that did not stop the media from driving the bus on this and having this hysteria for 2.5 years of this president's administration. One of the people on the GOP's list is Nellie Orr, Senator, former contractor for Fusion GPS. Why do you think she's on this list?
Well, I think they were trying to find the connection between the whistleblower complaint and what happened in 2016. Here's what they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that the whistleblower was on the Brennan team, if he was. They don't want you to know that he's tied to the people who falsely got on a warrant against Carter Page 4 times. They don't want you to know that he's tied to the group that set up a counterintelligence investigation of the Trump campaign in 2016. It would blow them out of the water if, in fact, the whistleblower was connected to a Democratic candidate and came from the CIA world that's been trying to destroy the Trump presidency before he got elected. That's why they don't want you to know who this person is.
Yeah, which is why you have a resolution with 50 senators having signed it about the process of what has taken place. Tell us about that resolution and where is that going?
Well, we looked at every other impeachment, the Nixon impeachment, the Clinton impeachment, and we found out that the President's counsel was allowed to cross-examine witnesses making accusations against the President. That's not allowed here. The President's counsel cannot participate in the Intel Committee inquiries. It's been done behind closed doors. Everything afforded Nixon and Clinton has been denied Trump. So this is the first time ever that impeachment has been driven by a member of Congress rather than outside counsel. There was outside counsel in Nixon, there was outside counsel in Clinton, and Mueller was an outside counsel. The first time in the history that we've had a partisan politician push impeachment, and the process in the House is way different than what happened in the past, and denying the Republicans the ability to trace the Hunter Biden conflict of interest storyline and deny them the ability to expose the whistleblower, again, is basically denying the president the ability to defend himself. And what are they hiding?
Yeah. So here, once again, we have public hearings supposed to be happening next week, but we still have an unfair process. Senator, I want to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to zero in on you and why you haven't called anybody to testify yet. You have subpoena power. Everybody wants to know, will you call Hunter Biden? Will you call Nellie Orr?